Hello everyone, Hyper here, and welcome to the BFA Pre-Patch Rogue Guide. Since I will be playing Rogue as my main alt going into the next expansion, I thought that it would be a decent idea to put out a guide for anyone who's trying to play Rogue in the pre-patch and has no idea what's going on. And since Rogue is my alt and not my main, I wasn't really too involved in figuring out what the best builds are, and for this reason I will only show you the best raid spec and the best dungeon spec. So for this reason I won't really talk about sub in this video. So if you want to get some more information on sub, I definitely recommend checking out the Rogue Discord where they have some pinned guides. This video is based on my experience on the Rogue in the pre-patch, Warcraft log analysis, talking to other rogues in the Discord, and reading up on the guides that they already have available. First up, let's talk about Assassination, because it does seem to be the go-to spec for raiding. It has very strong single target damage and very good burst AoE damage when needed, so when adds are spawning, because of some of the legendary and talent combinations that they have available. The build I recommend going with for raiding is Elaborate Planning, Subterfuge, Vigor, Toxic Blade, and Poison Bomb. The damage difference between Subterfuge and Night Stalker is very minimal, so if you're trying to min-max, then I definitely recommend simming it. But if you just want something basic, this build is sure to work. For legendaries, the top 3 currently are the Shoulders, the Insignia, and the Execute Bracers. Now, which of these 2 you will use will depend on your gear as well as the fight. If you want to play it safe without simming, I suggest just going with the Shoulders and the Ring. For trinkets on single target, you will want the Pantheon Trinket and the Seeping Scourgewing. And then for AoE, you can either go with the Shadow Singed Fang or the Umbral Moonglaves instead of the Seeping Scourgewing. As far as stats go, for single target, our top 2 are Haste and Crit, and then follows Mastery and Versatility. Make sure to sim your own character to get a more accurate idea, because this will depend largely on what kind of gear setup you have. For AoE, our old stat weights that we had in Legion remains the same. So we go Crit over Mastery, those are our top 2 stats, and then Verse and Haste are kind of the bottom ones that you want to avoid as much as possible. Now let's have a quick look at the rotation. As always, you want to pre-pot right before entering combat, then you want to open with Garrote and then Mutilate. You might have to Mutilate twice, but depending on your RNG, you might get to max combo points just after 1. After that, you want to Rupture, Vendetta, and Toxic Blade. And because of the Subterfuge talent, when your Garrote gets to about 5 seconds, you will want to Vanish and refresh it. But in the meantime, you will just want to build with Mutilate and spend with Envenom naturally, just like you did in Legion. So the rotation hasn't really changed much. The only thing that's really changed from our Legion rotation is that instead of Vanishing and using a 5 combo point Envenom, now we will be Vanishing and using Garrote instead. Your general priority for pressing buttons will be to always refresh Rupture when it has less than 5 seconds. If you use max combo points, this is less than about 7 seconds, but as long as you just refresh it below 5, you will be okay. Then you will want to refresh Garrote when it has less than about 5 seconds, unless it was empowered. So this means that you used a Garrote from Stealth, or you use one from Vanish. If you used one from Vanish or Stealth and they are empowered, you want to let them fall off completely before refreshing. And then obviously you will want to press Toxic Blade on cooldown. For AoE, things change just a little bit. The same build is viable, but in the last row you will be taking Hidden Blades or Crimson Tempest, depending on if you want burst AoE or sustained AoE. For Hidden Blades, I suggest using the legendary cloak with the Shoulders. For Crimson Tempest, you will be using Sephuz with the Bracers. And if you use Crimson Tempest, this just adds another dot that you want to maintain on all of your targets. The rotation changes slightly here because most of your combo points will be spent on keeping up dots on multiple targets. For Crimson Tempest, you will always want to refresh it when it gets to about 2 seconds remaining. Now moving on to Outlaw, which is shaping up to be the best dungeon spec in this pre-patch. So here I will focus more on dungeon builds and dungeon rotation rather than single target. But for Outlaw, the single target versus AoE rotation basically doesn't change. The only thing you will have to do on AoE that you won't be doing on single target is pressing Blade Flurry. My recommended build for Outlaw is Quick Draw, Acrobatic Strikes, Vigor, Alacrity, and Killing Spree. If you're looking for single target damage, then you might want to take Blade Rush instead of Killing Spree. As far as legendaries go, for dungeons, Shoulders and the Insignia will be your top choices. For raids, you will either go with the bracers and the insignia, in which case you will take Blade Rush rather than Killing Spree, or you will just go with the shoulders Killing Spree build. For trinkets, I recommend going with the Pantheon trinket and Glaives or Shadow Singed Fang. This will depend on what eye level you have them at. A few of the dungeon trinkets are also pretty strong, so I would definitely suggest simming them in case you have one of the better ones. For single target, Pantheon and Seeping Scourgewing are still the best choices. As far as stat priority goes, I suggest going with Haste over Crit, over Versatility, over Mastery. This will give you kind of a general balanced build, but if you're looking to get more single target damage out versus more just pure AoE damage, I definitely suggest simming yourself to see what's best for your character. Now let's take a look at the opener and the rotation. Out of Stealth, you will want to Blade Flurry and then followed by Ambush and Adrenaline Rush, after which you will be building up to 5 combo points and using Roll the Bones. Then you will want to Vanish to take advantage of your shoulders again, followed by Ambush, 2 Sinister Strikes, and Killing Spree. Obviously, if you have a pistol shot proc, you will want to use that instead of one of the Sinister Strikes. The general idea for the rotation is that you will always want to press your pistol shot proc if you're at or below 3 combo points, otherwise you will build with Sinister Strike and spend with Dispatch. On Roll the Bones, if you have the Ruthless Precision buff, then your primary spender will become Between the Eyes. And this is also true for single target, where you will be using the Bracer Legendary. A quick side note about Roll the Bones, some buffs are better than the other ones, and for this reason there's a weaker out there, as there's for everything, that will help you decide whether to reroll or keep the buffs you already have. I took the liberty of incorporating this weak aura from the Rogue Discord into my own UI, so if you go back to my spreadsheet where you got my first Roll the Bones weak auras from, and you re-download it, it will also include this new addition. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions or concerns, please leave them in the section below. I will also pin a comment with the consumables you should be using, because some of them might get nerfed. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button and sub to the channel, and if you'd like to support it directly, then check out my Patreon, which is linked in the description box. I'm also working on getting a new graphic up here for my Rogue videos instead of having a DK. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.